Okay, so in this example, we're going to solve this logarithmic equation. And first step is we want to simplify the left-hand side. Using the properties, the log of A plus the log of B is the log of A times B. So this, the left side, simplifies to the log of x times x minus 2. Now, what do we do here? Because this is a common logarithm, we want to do 10 raised to both sides. So 10 raised to the log of x times x minus 2 equals 10 raised to the 0 power. Again, we want to drive home that in an equation you can do anything to both sides. As long as you do it to both sides, the end result's going to be true. I mean, if you have 5 equals 5, then 10 raised to the 5th equals 10 raised to the 5th. That's going to be true, yeah? So that's all we're doing here. So again, I like to explain that when I solve these. Now back to more properties. 10 raised to the log base 10 of x times x minus 2 is x times x minus 2. And 10 raised to the 0 is 1. So now this is a quadratic equation because of the x squared. So we get x squared minus 2x equals 1. We subtract 1, we get x squared minus 2x minus 1 is equal to 0. To solve this, we need to use the quadratic formula because it does not easily factor. So x is equal to the opposite of negative 2, which is 2, plus and minus the square root of 4, minus 4 times 1 times negative 1. Over 2 times A is 1. So x is equal to 2 plus and minus the square root of 4, minus a minus 4 is 4 plus 4, which is 8. And here we get x is equal to, let me simplify this. This is 4 times 2. The square root of 4 is 2. So this gives us 2 root 2. So we can write this as 2 plus and minus 2 root 2 over 2. To simplify this, let me factor out a 2. And we're left with 1 plus and minus root 2 over 2. Because these are because we're multiplying factors, we can cancel. And x is equal to, let me write it over here, 1 plus and minus the square root of 2. Now, we don't really need to actually calculate the square root of 2. We know that number, the square root of 2, is bigger than 1. Because the square root of 1 is 1. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of any number between 1 and 4 is going to be bigger than 1, or between 1 and 2. So therefore, 1 plus root 2 and 1 minus root 2, this is some positive number. This is bigger than 1, so we know this result is bigger than 2. Let me just write that. This is going to be a negative number because the square root of 2 is bigger than 1, so we know that result is going to be less than 0. Now when we go back to the original problem, the arguments need to be positive. Well, when I plug in some number bigger than 2, I'm going to get a positive log here. The log of a positive number, that means that's going to be a solution. However, when I plug in 1 minus root 2, that's a negative number. And when I try to take the log of a negative number, it's not defined. So this, therefore, 1 minus the square root of 2 is not a solution. And the only solution to this problem is 1 plus the square root of 2.